It's pretty warm here inside the butterfly garden at the Detroit Zoo, which is a far cry from the chilly penguinarium not too far away. A group from the zoo just got back from an expedition to Antarctica, and one bird department zookeeper spent months researching penguins in their natural homes. Our Ben Bailey has more on how what they learned at the bottom of the world benefits penguins who live here in Detroit.
When you spend years studying penguins and hours with them every day, you get to know them pretty well.
I've always been interested in birds in general, but I think penguins win over the heart of almost everybody.
From the animated to the real thing.
The mother sees her chick for the first time.
Penguins do capture our imagination and waddle their way into our hearts.
The Detroit Zoo is home to the world's first penguinarium, built back in the 1960s. And zookeeper Matthew Porter knows each of these 83 residents by name. The zoo works with Polar Oceans Research Group as part of their conservation effort. And that collaboration allowed Matthew to be invited for the entire summer season to Antarctica.
When they first asked me, I think it took a couple nanoseconds to say yes. What an opportunity. I was so excited.
When it's winter here, it's summer in Antarctica. The sun stays up most of the day. Average temperature on the peninsula hovers around freezing. And crossing the infamous rough waters of the Drake Passage leads to what feels like another world.
It was just incredible. I was beating my eyes like, when am I going to wake up? There's icebergs floating by. And then there's just snow-covered mountain peak. And then you'll see a couple penguins porpoising, and for me, I thought of it, is this a dream or is this really happening?
During the summer season, millions of Antarctic penguins make their way to shore for one purpose.
Penguins are seabirds. They spend incredible amounts of time swimming, and more so maybe than I ever realized till I got the opportunity to be down there and watch them. These birds are constantly in the ocean feeding, and really they're just coming on land to make their nests and to breed.
Matthew spent 3 months at Palmer Station, the smallest of the U.S. Antarctic research stations.
Food's good. We have 2 chefs, so that's great, but it's really tough in terms of lack of produce. We only get a supply boat once every month or two. You know, it's tough on the fruits and vegetables. It's hard to get a good salad. We get up early, maybe 6 or 7, you know, grab a cup of coffee, and we watch the weather because that environment can change so quickly and you can really get in trouble. So we got to make sure the winds are in the right direction and that we're not going to get trapped by ice.
Researchers sail out to islands every day to observe the penguins, take data on their nesting and growth rates for population analysis. There are 18 penguin species on Earth, but some of the most common on the Antarctic Peninsula are the gentoo, playful, high-energy, great swimmers, and the 3rd largest of the penguin species. There are chinstraps, loud, medium-sized penguins, named for the fine line of black feathers around their faces, and the Adelies, with their classic tuxedo color.
My personal favorite would have been working with the Adelies, and they just seem to be really rigid in their thinking. This is what we do, this is our method and our routine.
Penguin pairs gather in colonies and build nests made of small rocks. Mom and Dad take turns incubating. One parent keeps the eggs warm, while the other goes to eat small fish and krill at sea. You can tell who's been on baby duty by their bellies. A dirty belly means the penguin has been on the nest. A clean belly shows the penguin probably has just eaten a nice meal in the ocean. It's hard to cover much ground with that distinctive penguin waddle, so in the wild, penguins often toboggan, sliding on their stomachs, propelled by flippers and feet. It's a faster, more efficient way to get around.
They live a really hard life. They're very strong, tough creatures, and there's a lot of animals that are out there that want to eat them. And the brown skewers really, I'd say, are basically like a big brown seagull with an attitude. They live in close proximity of these penguin colonies, and they steal eggs, and they also feed on penguin chicks, and that's the harsh reality of the world down there, but it's all part of that circle of life and keeps the ecosystem in check.
Another reality, penguins are notorious thieves.
And a deli goes and runs away from his nest to go steal a rock, and while he's gone, 7 rocks have been taken out of his nest. One morning it was really funny. There was an Adelie that had 2 chicks, and they're getting big, maybe the size of a football. And sure enough, I see the chick like stretching its neck out to the chick next door to steal a rock. So they certainly teach that at a young age.
Scientists from the Detroit Zoological Society also took an expedition to Antarctica this winter, along with some staff members, donors, and scientists from the Polar Oceans Research Group.
We were looking for new research sites, and we think we found some. We were looking to confirm some new theories about how the Antarctic ecosystem works, the dynamic between sea ice and the birds. We were doing filming for our Science on a Sphere. We were doing filming for the building in here. We were doing some infrared thermography research, and we were picking up our resident life sciences staff member who was at the station for the past 3 months.
Matthew hitched a ride home with the group. Trips like this help raise money for major projects like the brand new Polk Penguin Conservation Center, the largest in the world. The outside design is inspired by tabular icebergs.
In the wintertime, this flat area in front of the building will be a skating rink, and you might be able to see the outline of Antarctica on the floor. Right in the center of the building is where the waterfall will be. So in the summertime, this will be a splash area and a waterfall which reflects basically iceberg calving, which happens a lot and is a pretty dramatic event.
The inside takes penguins close to their Antarctic home. Remember, some penguins spend as much as 80% of their lives in the water.
So we created a much larger aquatic environment for them, over 325,000 gallons of chilled water, and they're able to dive up to 25 feet below the surface. So this is the deepest pool anywhere, and this is 10 times the amount of water that we had in the original penguinarium. The temperature in the building for the birds is much, much colder than what we used to have. So it's near freezing 37 degrees all the time. There are wind machines and wave machines, ice and snow for the birds, and that's just for the birds themselves.
Being able to watch them out in Antarctica helped me think of little ways that we can change our husbandry for them here. One thing being seeing what an uneven terrain they walk on out there, seeing how high they'll climb, and different ways that we can change our substrate they can walk on with the new Polk Penguin Conservation Center. I think we really utilize that ability to provide them with a huge body of water where they'll be able to swim and behave so naturally.
Visitors will learn the history of exploration, the current science on our ecological footprint and climate change, and visitors will get a sense of what life is like on the southernmost continent.
It is a lot easier to come here than it is to go to Antarctica. I think it's very important for people to understand that zoos today are very different than the way they used to be. They used to be essentially parks with animal exhibits, but the agenda now is far more substantive. We really mean to help conserve the world's wildlife and wild places. And so there is a lot of research going on.
7,000 miles away from Antarctica, life is good for the penguins at the Polk Penguin Conservation Center.
I think that people will see that we have gone to incredible lengths to provide animals with an incredible environment where they don't have to worry about skuas, they don't have to worry about leopard seals, they don't have to worry about finding food. I mean, this is a really phenomenal place for animals to live. It's a sanctuary, and that's the way it should be.
The Polk Penguin Conservation Center opens in April, and Matthew Porter kept a blog while he was working in Antarctica, and we have a link to it on the first block page of Click on